Is Bonelab the best VR game ever made? Is it even the best VR game in 2022? The hype around this game certainly suggests it's about to change the landscape of VR and become something very, very special indeed. So is it the best VR game ever? That's the question. Now I'm here today to do a full review of this game, to break it all down and give you my honest opinions, but before we get to that, I want to let you in on a little tiny secret. Come here. Come on, come here. That's it. A little bit closer. That's it. That's it. That's it. It doesn't matter if you think it's the best VR game ever. It doesn't matter if I think it's the best VR game ever. Bonelab is already guaranteed to be a ginormous success because you can play as an anime waifu with squishy, squeezable, movable boobies. I'm serious. This is the future of VR. You know, I didn't think this was going to be possible in my lifetime. You know, I can look down and see, look at that. I can move one and not the other. I mean, this is a revolution, right? This has to be the start of something huge. I mean, I refuse to believe anything else. I absolutely refuse to believe anything else. This is unprecedented. We've entered unprecedented territory for VR, and I'm excited to see where it takes us. Oh my lord. Bonelab is here, everyone. I'm here to review the game. I've completed the entire thing. I do have opinions. I'm going to break down the content. I'm going to break down the length of the campaign. I'm going to break down how good I think this thing is, and I'm going to tell you my honest opinions. This is Bonelab. These are my anime boobies. Let's get into this. Welcome to the Bonelab. This is where the magic happens. Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into my review. I appreciate your YouTube feeds, especially on launch day, are going to be filled with Bonelab content. It's going to be crazy out there, but I wanted to throw my 2 cents out there into the mix so you can all hear what I think of this brand new and much anticipated game. I don't think I've seen this much hype for a VR game ever. Probably not since Half-Life Alyx. Now, before we get cracking with the review, I want to say one thing. All the footage you're seeing today is being captured natively inside the Quest 2. Now, the team at Stress Level Zero have done an amazing job and used all the tools at their disposal to keep the Quest 2 version looking very sharp and very close to the PC VR version of the game. The Quest 2 version is actually a lot brighter. The colours are more defined, the lighting is a little bit flatter, and yeah, textures don't look quite as sharp, but for the most part, the Quest 2 version is very close to the PC VR version, and it runs very well. Right now I'm recording with full rate capture, so you should see a nice smooth frame rate, and yeah, it has been a technical marvel to behold. Right, let's kick this video off by talking about the content in Bonelabs. I've got a lot that I want to cover today. I want to talk about the campaign, I want to talk about the content, I want to talk about the length, I want to talk about the quality of the product and how it stacks up against Boneworks. So there's a lot to cover, so let's get through this. Now, a lot of people, even right up to launch, have been confused about the content of Bonelab. What is Bonelab? Does it have a single player story? Is it just a playground game? Do I have to make my own fun? Is it just a sandbox? What is Bonelab? Now, the people within the Bonelab community will surely know exactly what this game is, but those outside who might be interested in jumping in, I want to take the time now to show you exactly what content Bonelab contains. When you first launch Bonelab, you're dropped into level 1 of the single player campaign. That's right, Bonelab does have a full single player campaign to play through. It spans 14 levels and it is around 4 to 5 hours in length. Level 1 of the Bonelab campaign sees your player character waking up in Fantasyland, a digital world inspired by RPG games and Dungeons and Dragons. It's filled with skeletons, medieval style weapons, dungeons and underground prison systems. Once you progress through here, you'll find yourself in some very familiar locations if you played Boneworks, the cold industrial offices of Myth OS. After progressing through this area and learning all the fundamental basics of the game, such as climbing, jumping, sprinting, using firearms and melee weapons, you'll be greeted with an elevator that takes you for, let's just say, quite the ride. And then when the elevator stops, you arrive here in the Bonelab. This is the central hub of the game, and it's actually an area where players might get stuck for quite some time trying to figure out how to progress to the next chapter of the story. Once you've got past that first level, you're free to come back to the Bonelab as much as you like and play with the 6 different rooms filled with sandbox or pre-created content by Stress Level 0. Behind these 6 doors is the bulk of the content in Bonelab. This is the stuff you'll be running over and over again. This is the stuff you'll be coming back to and replaying. This is basically the sandbox playground element of the game, and yes, it does make up a huge chunk of the offering here. The first door is Tac Trial. These are tactical skirmish courses to hone discipline where precision is king. So think the training mission at the start of Call of Duty or the John Wick-esque scenarios in the movies, running through using firearms to dispatch your enemies. Behind door number 2 we have the arena. Now that's pretty easy to figure out what these are. Fully functional arenas for Fantasyland. Fight for hours or attempt some challenges. Currently there are 4 different arenas and they're packed with challenge scenarios already pre-built by Stress Level 0, or you can just go in and create your own challenge scenarios and take on waves of enemies using set weapons and items from the main game. Behind door number 3 we have everyone's favourite, the sandbox. Now this is where you're going to see all those TikTok videos coming from. People doing crazy stunts and really pushing the limits of the engine that Bonelab is built on. These are areas you can come into, you can spawn any items you've collected in the campaign, and you can just play with them. Play with the items, create crazy scenarios, and just cause some chaos. Now this mode does also include a fan favourite, Tuscany. I thought I'd point that out because everyone loves that sandbox map. Behind door number 4 we have parkour. That rhymed and I didn't even intend it to. Parkour is pretty straightforward. 4 different levels with different parkour challenges, really testing your running, jumping, climbing abilities. This is the place to come. These are quite hard. I'll jump into one of these in a minute. I'm terrible at these, but yeah, parkour challenges behind door number 4. Door number 5 is possibly my favourite door. the experimental section. Now behind this door I currently have 2 different experimental levels. One is bowling, which is absolutely phenomenal, I will show that in this video, and pillar climb, which I kind of hate. But this is going to be really interesting to see if more experimental challenges get added. The bowling is absolutely ingenious, and I can't wait to see if stress level fill that with more crazy things as time goes on. And finally, behind door number 6 we have the mods. This bit is going to get crazy, I'm sure. People are going to fill this game with mods, or at least I really hope they do. There's even a creation kit here so you can make things yourself. You can download approved mods, there's already a couple on there. Duck Season avatars and Hover Junker avatars, they've just appeared. Let's get them installed, that's fantastic. So you can install approved mods straight from Stress Level 0, and there'll also be external mods when people really start uploading things. There's going to be mod levels. Right now there's just Monogon Motorway. This is really exciting. This is an ever-expanding library of content, and that is every single door in the Bonelab. There is also this door, but the less we say about that, the better. This plays into the campaign, so you come through this door quite late in the game. I won't open it right now, I don't want to spoil too much, but that is something you work your way towards if you follow the campaign trail. And that is all the content that's currently available in this game. There's a full campaign, there are the TAC trials, there is the arena mode, the parkour maps, the sandbox, the experimental maps, and the mods. A huge content offering in Bonelab. This is probably the most content I've seen in a Quest game. It's absolutely jam-packed. Now it might be a huge amount of content, but are you going to enjoy it? Now that really depends on the kind of experience you're looking for. Bonelab certainly is more of a sandbox than anything, even though it offers a full 14 mission long 4 to 5 hour campaign. Even the campaign itself is very obtuse, and the narrative that's fed to you isn't necessarily overly engaging. It runs in the background. The star of the show in Bonelab is always the physics-based interactions, the combat, the exploration, and the level design. If you just like to explore, and you're not fussed about a story thrust into your face, then there's a great game here in Bonelab. Let's jump into some campaign action.
At its core, Bonelab has been designed with experimentation and flexibility in mind. It's a game that definitely knows its audience, and it's created something that will almost certainly cater to the VR masses, specifically Quest users, who are looking for crazy, infinite sandbox fun. There's enough room to create, adapt and build your own fun in the 6 different Bonelab playground modes to keep most VR players entertained for years to come, especially considering the amount of modded content that will no doubt arrive in the game after release. But what about the campaign? Regardless of how much endless fun there is to have in the sandboxes of Bonelab, many players, myself included, will be looking for something a little bit more substantial, something to progress through and something to cater to those who like a bit more narrative structure in their VR games. Well, for those players, Bonelab provides a 4 to 5 hour long campaign that spans 14 levels and takes you on an adventure through the industrial corridors, sewer systems and dystopian office block interiors of Myth OS. However, what exactly this adventure is about is left very much down to the player's imagination and interpretation of the events. Bonelab, much like its predecessor Boneworks, doesn't explicitly lay out all the facts to its players. The reasons why you're embarking upon this quest of puzzle solving and violence is never made abundantly clear, and that might be a deal breaker for those looking for something a little bit less obtuse. But believe me when I say, it doesn't stop the campaign from being a high quality experience packed with unique moments and more variety than almost every other Quest 2 game. On the Quest in particular, it's an ambitious campaign of a nearly unmatched level of quality, and there were certain creative moments sprinkled throughout that left me grinning from ear to ear. The campaign itself can actually be split into two halves. There are 7 missions unique to driving the narrative forward. Now these are more conventional story-driven levels that push the player through the halls of Myth OS and up towards the ultimate endgame of the story. These play out in a very similar way to the campaign of Boneworks, with a focus on environmental puzzle solving, combat scenarios and exploration, which is highly encouraged throughout the game if you want to find all the unlockables. The other 7 levels are a little strange. One of them is actually the BONELAB itself. You arrive there after completing the first mission of the campaign, and in the story this hub world is counted as level 2. The other 6 levels are all introductions to the various avatars you'll be switching between in the latter half of the game. The 6 levels that introduce these avatars feel a little more barren than the other half of the campaign, and that's due to the fact that these are actually unlockable sandbox, parkour, tact trial, experimental and arena stages. Their inclusion in the campaign makes sense as it teaches you to use each of the character's unique skills, but it's clear they were built with more playbox fun sensibilities in mind. These introductory levels for the game's star feature, its avatar swapping ability, are some of the campaign's shorter missions. They each run about 5 minutes in length and are a varied and bizarre chunk of experiences that break up the action in the midpoint of the campaign to send you into some unique worlds for short little excursions and some sandbox fun. However, this variety is also one of the campaign's stumbling points, as some of the levels throughout do stand out as much weaker moments than others. One level that takes place on a minecart style roller coaster where you shoot the occasional wooden target felt like a missed opportunity for some really incredible combat scenarios. Another level that takes place on the moon, which had no enemies or puzzles to solve, was a bizarre little excursion that felt empty compared to the previous few levels. These lackluster levels, of which there are a few, are thankfully quickly forgotten as the campaign provides enough greatness to counteract it. One of the high points for me personally was a level built to mimic a Mario Kart track, complete with off-brand Mushroom Kingdom visuals and a piece of music just different enough to not get anyone in trouble with Nintendo. The avatars themselves are superb for the most part. Each one feels uniquely different and comes with their own set of pros and cons. The heavy can throw enemies around with ease, the agile character can outrun anyone and jump much further, the tall avatar can reach places others couldn't dream of, the strong character can hit hard and open locked areas, the short cat-like avatar can fit into vents and explore tiny hidden areas, and the anime waifu has squishy, squeezable, movable boobies. Each feel great to play as despite having a few overlapping abilities, and it's clear why they've been used as a real selling point for the game pre-launch. Once you've collected all your avatars and unlocked the ability to swap between them on the fly, you embark upon the penultimate mission of the campaign, a mission that most will agree is the absolute high point of the BONELAB story. The recently released launch trailer actually pulled from this mission in its entirety. It's easily the most combat focused mission, and finally having the avatar swapping ability, which is given to you very late in the game, means you can experiment to your heart's content, swapping on the fly and causing chaos as you push through waves of enemies and environmental challenges. It's here in this late game moment that everything comes together for the Bonelab campaign. This is certainly when it all clicked for me. Bonelab is at its best when it gives you access to all the tools in its toolkit. The avatar swapping ability isn't truly unlocked until the 12th mission of the campaign, and this is when Bonelab really hits its stride. However, this is also when things are wrapping up, so it can feel a little bittersweet to be given all this power and then have the game come to an abrupt end. But this is when Bonelab reveals its true intentions. Once the credits roll, you're sent back in equipped with the avatar swapping ability from the word go. The entire game is now open to you, from the campaign to a plethora of sandbox modes and the ability to change your avatar on the fly. This means experimentation and repeat campaign playthroughs are hugely encouraged. I, for one, had far more fun on my second run through of the story with all abilities unlocked than I did on my first attempt. Bonelab is a game built for those who like to create their own fun whilst also trying to cater towards an audience looking for a more structured experience. If you're not into wacky sandbox antics, then you might get less out of the experience than those who are, but you'll still undoubtedly fall in love with the physics-based interactions, incredibly gratifying gunplay, clever environmental puzzles, and unique avatar swapping mechanics. Bonelab might not be the best VR game ever for those who are looking for something a little bit more structured, but it certainly feels like it could be poised to become the most impactful VR game of all time for those who want to create, explore, build, and innovate for years to come. In many ways, Bonelab doesn't really feel like a game. It feels like a purpose-built platform for VR creation and expression.
Oh my god, look at this guy! What the hell is this? It's called Piggo. My hands actually feel like they're really far away from where they actually are. This is such a weird avatar. Who put this in here? What's this from? For anyone who played Duck Season, here he is. David, the boy whose parents and eventually him pretty much died to the hands of a giant duck from a game. Is he covered in moles? What are all these? I guess he's just a moley kid. Look, all these moles on his arms. He's also got a toe sticking out of his socks. Look at that. Look at that. Mate, you need to buy some new socks. You can't go around like this. I don't even know what to say. Look at the size of this thing! I'm huge right now. I feel like Godzilla. Oh my god. I now understand why the mirror's so big. I was wondering why the mirror was so big. Usually you're only like down here. Oh, hello. Look at this guy! Oh my god, I feel so unstoppable. Someone please make a mod where you can just like go around and smash little cities and fight other monsters, because I'd play the absolute hell out of that. Now, I don't want to be crude, but he does look like he has kind of a bit of a, you know, kind of an open penis Jap's eye inside his mouth. I don't really like that. I'm looking at it. I can't stop looking at it now. I'm mesmerised by it. Look at this. Look at this little thing in his mouth. Look at that. I mean, say what you want about Stress Level Zero, they know who their target audience are. They know who's buying these games. Look at these anime avatars. They look amazing. They look absolutely amazing. Can I look at the bum? No. I can't even. Oh, she knows. I just want to check myself out. Just want to have a little look at the. No, can't even do it sneakily. Can't even have a sneaky look at that dumper, the most famous boobs in all of VR YouTubing. These things have been on so many thumbnails this week. It's ridiculous. They'll probably be on mine. Sex sells, you know? Boobies sell. I can't get over it. It's so ridiculous. I love it so much. I love it so much. I mean, I can't wait to see what people do with the modding tools for this game. It's going to be carnage. Is there any regulation? What can and can't come in? I'll take it all. I've got no filter. I'll have all the filthy stuff. Give it to me. I'm down for the filth. Down for the filth. Jesus Christ. We've seen a lot of gameplay and I've done a lot of talking, but it's time to wrap this video up. This has been my Bonelab overview and review. I hope you've enjoyed it. In summary, do I like Bonelab? Well, I think this video has probably, made it very clear that I do absolutely adore the game that Stress Level Zero have created here. Bonelab is a technical marvel on the Quest. It feels like it shouldn't exist. It feels like black magic. It just doesn't feel like we should be able to get this kind of performance, physics-based interactions, visuals, and suite of content on a native VR headset. Now, for those of you who are looking for a Half-Life Alyx style Quest 2 exclusive, this probably isn't it. It certainly is in terms of quality and content offering, but in terms of narrative, if you're just looking for a story, you might be left disappointed with what Bonelab is offering. Now, I went into Bonelab as a Boneworks fan, you know, I enjoyed Boneworks for what it was, I had a lot of fun with the campaign in that game, and I kind of knew what to expect. But for people coming in fresh, who haven't played Boneworks, and maybe they don't know what the story is about and how the story presents itself in these games, they might be shocked to see just how obtuse it is and just how strange it is. But I think even those players will really enjoy the systems that Bonelab presents them, because the way in which you can play this game is unlike anything else. I don't think we'll see two playthroughs on YouTube or Twitch or wherever that are identical. Everyone will play this a different way. Everyone will explore different areas. Everyone will choose to approach scenarios, oh my god, in very different ways. I don't know what the hell happened there. Now, it does still present a little bit of jank, much like Boneworks did. Sometimes the physics get caught on each other, but you can allow it, because Bonelab keeps throwing amazing moments at you, one after another, after another, after another. Now, for every moment in the story-driven campaign that doesn't quite hit its mark, there's a ton more moments that absolutely obliterate their mark and leave a huge lasting impression. From the Mario Kart style level, where you play as an anime girl running around a discount Mario Kart track with discount Mario Kart music playing, to the Street Fighter or Streets of Rage-esque level playing as the melee class of Avatar. There are so many moments that will stick with me for a long time. Overall, Bonelab is a stunning success with a suite of content that is just unreal to me. So much content in one package. This will keep people playing for years to come, especially those who want to engage with the playground style sandboxes, which are jam-packed with content. Come on! Ah, there we go. If you engage with the playgrounds, if you engage with the challenges, there's enough content here to keep you going until the next Stress Level 0 title emerges in another 5 or so years, probably more, to be honest. But if you just want the story, even then there's a 4 to 5 hour long story here that should keep you entertained if you're okay with a narrative that's a little bit more obtuse than most people are probably used to. It doesn't hold your hand, it doesn't spoon feed you, and it doesn't always make it clear what's going on in the world of Bonelab. But the systems, the experience, the physics-based interactions are all top-notch. The visuals are stunning, the performance on the Quest is mind-blowing, and the content offering, what you get for your money, is more than impressive. Bonelab might not be the best VR game ever, but what it is a platform that has the potential to grow and offer VR users experiences for years to come. Stress Level 0 have built something that's so much more than a traditional game. This is a game that you can build your own games within. Mods will absolutely keep this alive for years to come. I really can't wait to see how Stress Level continue to improve and offer content to this game, because I do think it's about to dominate the VR landscape. People are going to pick this up in their thousands, and I think this is just the start. This is more of a platform than a game, but the game that's there, if you just want to approach it as a game, is a very good one, filled with action-packed moments that will no doubt stick with you for a long time. You just need to accept a rather obtuse narrative if you're just looking to play the campaign. I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. Please do leave a like, leave a comment, and hit subscribe, and I'll see you soon for another one. Whee!